Well, welcome everyone. I'm so glad to have today one of the candidates for State Rep District 37 there in Chambers County, Jeff Monroe, visiting with Christian Coalition. And he's been gracious enough to talk with us about the issues, why he wants to run for office, and
Sure.
why he's motivated to take on this office and take on this challenge to help the people of Alabama. And Jeff, we're very grateful for you to join our broadcast. Grateful for you to take time out of your busy schedule to talk with us here at Christian Coalition. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here and glad to talk with you today. Let you know about me and why I want to run for this office.
Well, yeah, and Jeff, one of the things we as Christian Coalition have been, always trying to update our listeners and the people who get our emails and our newsletters about the candidates. I was very intrigued when I started reading about you and your motivation to in your background as a small businessman there in Chambers County, and now you're running for an open seat that Chad Fincher had for many, many years. And so
Sure.
what kind of brought you to run for this office, and what kind of skill set do you bring to this office that you think will be helpful for your citizens there in Chambers County and the surrounding area?
Well, thanks. I get asked that a lot, and I end up being sort of a jack of all trades and a master of none. But I spent really now I'm my 46th year, and right out of high school I got into public service. I just had a calling for it, and I have spent fire and EMS my whole life. I've been retired as a fire chief, firefighter, paramedic for about going on 11 years now. I worked 30 years municipal career, and I did industrial fire protection during that time frame. And I've worked for, you know, federal government, Department of Homeland Security, all related to emergency response and emergency management. So that's my background in that world. I'm a small businessman now. I run me and my wife run a business where we work with volunteer and career fire departments to establish grant funding for them to buy trucks and equipment. That's been a 22-year career. We're right now in the middle of a grant cycle again. There's federal money for them to get fire trucks and fire equipment resources, and we've been blessed and been able to work with departments to do that. I've done that while I worked during my municipal government years. I have been the mayor of the little town of Five Points. I'm currently a council member. I've been in that about 23 years now in the election cycle as a council member, and I'm the longest seated council member of our bunch at this point. So I did not run for mayor this time because I did step down to pursue the House District 37 position. We farm. I have honeybees. I run about 200 colonies of honeybees, and as well, I have grapes. We have about a 9-acre vineyard, and with that 9 acres of plants, we grow small fruit, muscadines, bunch grapes, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries. So, I've done a lot of little things that way, and just entrepreneurial in spirit. And but my core is still working in the fire and EMS work.
Well, that is so terrific. And myself being a physician, dealing with people that work as first responders, they're the critical link to whether people live or survive. These people that come in emergencies, whether it be a cardiac emergency, fire emergency, any type of motor
That's
vehicle
right.
accident, you name it. These you guys are on the front lines, and your training and your response is which makes or breaks whether people survive or not, and their outcomes. And I think it's so important because in Alabama, that's one of the problems we've had. We've had, particularly in the rural areas, having access to health care. And me as a
Absolutely.
physician, this is nothing new. We had to deal with this in the Bob administration when I was his advisor back in the 90s. From your vantage point, it seems like you could be very valuable in this whole discussion about how the legislature and the state address those types of issues.
Well, absolutely. I feel like I bring a skill set that is needed to be an advocate for rural Alabama. Chambers, Randolph, and parts of Lee is rural. I do represent the city of Opelika, which is more suburban. I wouldn't call it urban, but it's more suburban, but it's still got rural connotations to it. I tell everyone this, and uh, my skill set brings me where I had to get up in the middle of the night at a moment's notice, put on my clothes, drive a couple of minutes to somebody's house, and try to rectify the worst day of their life. And I've done that for my whole career. Uh, I've been in stressful spots. Uh, it's not all that's not life or death, but when it's your mom, it's your dad, or it's a loved one, it's important to you. And I just feel like that I bring that perspective and can share that perspective behind that house door. Because when it shuts, there's not everybody in here that brings in that. There's all walks of life in that House of Representatives, 105 people. If I'm successful in my bid to go to Montgomery, best of my knowledge, I'm going to be the second legislator, and that will be the second legislator. Right now, I'll probably be the only one with a current paramedic card in their pocket. I've had that now in my pocket for 46 years. So I can talk rural health care. I know how important that if we lack rural hospital, we've got to have solid, good rural EMS because otherwise people are going to die. And certainly it's not going to make a good day for them. So I can be an advocate that way, and that's what I intend to do.
Well, there's no question that healthcare is going to be on the minds of the legislature coming up, and we desperately need people in the legislature that doesn't have to have on-the-job training or understanding of that by a lobbyist and can have real-world experience to the legislative process and understand what really needs to be done in that area. And I think right now that was one of the things that we as Christian Coalition were concerned about this whole thing with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield did not want to cover certain services, and now there was a recent judgment against for $2.6 billion. And yet, instead of dealing with that problem, the legislature basically created this fund for Blue Cross Blue Shield to shift that money to their own devices. And we felt that was a terrible mistake the legislature had, and it's going to cause premiums to rise again. Um, how are you seeing the whole role of the health insurance coverage and things like in your area? Are you, for example, are you all seeing a lot of areas where you go into and there's not adequate healthcare coverage or not adequate repayment, for example, for services that y'all render in the counties?
Well, certainly. In this last session, there was a lot of discussion around, in particular, my world, the ambulance reimbursement. There was and I've worked municipal transport ambulance services where we did not get as good of reimbursement rates as what it cost us to provide those services. And there was a lot of pushback from certain lobbying groups to not do that, and when they'd asked me, I was like, really, you think you're going to get a lot of sympathy out of me when I've rode a truck literally 10,000 plus times in my life where we're trying to save someone's life. We've got to have adequate resources. We've got to have adequate equipment. And, in rural healthcare, that extended time means injury being furthered or persons dying. And, anybody that's negatively impacting that, I just did not feel like that's a good position to put anybody in. Reimbursement rates are smaller. I know there's a lot of talk about expansion of Medicaid in Alabama. I think the big thing is we've got to work to pay for it because that's a big animal. We could break the state budget real easily in trying to do that. So I'm certainly keen and tuned to working in any area that we can to potentially cut costs in other areas. Uh, Nobody wants to have that big word taxes, adding taxes. But with service increases, the money's got to come from somewhere. Governor Ivey doesn't have that big $100 bill tree sitting down there on the Capitol steps and on the lawn. So we've got to figure out how to pay for these things because we know the people need them. People of
Well,
Alabama deserve it.
right, and to your point, this is where we need to really look at the efficiencies where there may be
That's
People are
right.
taking advantage of the system. People, I mean, we see so much fraud, abuse, and things like that. And the idea, and the thing that's interesting about your discussion about emergencies, that there's no doubt that when you go out on a call like that, that's life or death, right? There's no
That's right.
question whether that's fraudulent or not. It is either life or death. The house is burning, someone's having a heart attack or a stroke or something like that. That's cut and dried. It's these other
That's
things
right.
that that Medicaid is paying for and other insurance are paying for that maybe need to be have more scrutiny. You know what I'm saying? And so as a
That's right.
provider, that brings me a lot of comfort as head of the Christian Coalition, as well as a longtime physician providing care here in the state of Alabama. So I really appreciate your
Sure.
insight on that. Let's talk a little bit also about some other things that that happened in the legislature this past year, which was a little bit disconcerting to us. You know, not only the Blue Cross, but
Sure.
we had the Public Service Commission, debate. Had
Sure.
that now. Some of that was now where we are diluted. The power of the people were diluted there. And then in our one of the things we were concerned about, we couldn't believe that the legislature signing died on our bill that would protect young girls and young women from pornographic imagery from AI. Today,
Absolutely.
there was a recent Florida Attorney General has just sued OpenAI because they're telling kids how to commit suicide. And the thing that frustrates us about that, these are things that are simple to dismantle. You can still have AI, you can still have all that stuff without these type of algorithms that lead to harm for children. So I guess what I would like to know is if we would have your pledge to help us support those efforts to put those safeguards in for children and families so they don't have to worry about their daughter, a nude image being posted somewhere of their daughter by someone using AI.
Well, absolutely. In speaking of AI, I mean, AI is a tool. I use AI in my business. What takes me to proofread used to take me 20, 30 minutes to proofread in a document that I'd create. I can proofread it and clean it up in 15 seconds. That's a positive use of AI. These illicit uh, pornographic uses of AI has absolutely got to be controlled and stopped. Absolutely, you know, why anybody would even think of not supporting legislation uh, that would allow that to continue to go on. There's ways to block it. There's ways to block a lot of things, and there'll always be people trying to work around those ways to block things. But certainly, I support uh, that. I mean, I've got granddaughters, I've got grandchildren that this could happen to unknowingly. That take a picture with me or take a picture of themselves. I mean, I got 13-year-old granddaughters, twins that cheerlead. So they're photogenic. They're in a lot of things, and we certainly have got to put uh, safeguards in place that protect our children.
Right.
Foremost thing.
Well, thank you so much for that, Jeff. Tell us a little about your faith and how that plays a role in how you serve now in municipal government. You've served in the federal government, all these different roles. How it informs your way you do your business, your integrity. Tell us a little about that and your family. I'm sure our listeners would be interested in that as well.
Well, sure. Me and Cindy, we've been married 25 years. Our anniversary's coming up this summer. If she don't beat me over the head first, and put me out of her misery, I guess you could say. But all in all, I mean, we have a great marriage. Me and Cindy have we work together every day. We play together every day, and we're at home and have family life together every day. So in some cases, that's stressful. We just have to have good work-life balance. I'm so proud of my wife and my support that I get from her in this. As far as church, I'm going to start out. We started attending Church of the Highlands. There's an Opelika campus. I attend the Opelika campus. We were there when we did the startup over at the Sportsplex Center when we started up from really was part of the Auburn uh, East Campus on Glen Avenue had broke off because all one church, just different locations. And we moved over and started attending it at Opelika, and now we have our nice new facility over on Andrews Road. I'm, been in small groups. uh, done freedom, I participate. I don't just try to casually stay on the sideline because in large mega churches uh, you can get on the sideline and just be hidden, and I don't want to do that. I want to participate. So small groups is the way we worship with that. As far as in this race, there's days I have to pray, Lord, what have you got me into? I feel like I have a calling. I really do. Because if we don't have some Christians down at Montgomery that's watching out for our citizens of Alabama, it's so easy for the devil to infiltrate himself into those areas. We have got to have some people that'll stand up and not be scared to profess their faith. And I'm one that's that way, and I'm going to continue to be that way. Like me or not, I'm going to profess my faith in the Capitol or any other platform that I get.
Well, that's great, Jeff. It's so funny because I've been to the Opelika campus at Church of the Highlands. I'm a itinerant minister on top of everything other hats. I used to be a doctor, and I'm a member at Church of the Highlands in Montgomery. So I've known them for all of them for many many years. And the thing that's exciting for what you said is so true. It's easy to be in a church and just be sit in a pew, right, and check a
That's right.
box. But you really can't do that at Church of the Highlands if you attend regularly at all, because they're going to find a place for you, and they're going to give you opportunities to serve based on your skill set.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I think what happens in our political world so many times that we are not looking at look at each person as a unique individual created by God that has a purpose and a calling, and they have something that they're supposed to be using. Now, whether they use that talent is the key, whether they use
That's
that or
right.
not. But you have everyone, all of us, you do, I do, all of us have a calling. And so when you tell me that, that just speaks volume about your integrity and about the person you are, serving God, not just checking a box, not just sitting in a pew, but actually have an active faith that is actually making an impact on the lives of the people around you. So that's very encouraging for what you told me, and I'm so pleased to hear
Thank you.
that. Yeah,
I fully intend, I have daily prayer because I look at it this way. This is going to be a win or a win. Either God's got a bigger calling for me than what I'm embarking on in the legislature, or God's never been defeated. And nowhere in the history of time God has been defeated. And if God wants me here, he will put me here. And I fully believe that. And it's a win-win. If not, he's got a better calling for me. So, uh, I feel like with a lot of prayer, me and my wife, a lot of prayer warriors around me, we're where we're at now because this is where I need to be.
absolutely. Let's talk about the other people are probably trying to not so excited that you're in the race or not maybe necessarily want you to win. I think it's partly because your Christian faith and your stand on Christian principles why they don't want you. We have had seen a lot of money, particularly with these gambling interests and everybody else. They would love to see you not win and not succeed. And tell us about what's been going on there in your race. I've seen a little bit about it, but tell us a little more about what's going on there with this dark money and these different from these outside interests.
Wow, that's if you'd have told me I'd see this in this race because this was just not something I decided, 2 weeks before the January um, the January qualifying day. I've been talking about this off and on for 10, 12 years. I knew previous legislators, and they told me, well, you're going to have to campaign hard and you'll be able to raise money and you'll be able to do this. So I got in the race thinking that myself, that I'd be able to raise money. And what I found is multiple roadblocks and multiple directions that try to keep others out because it's unfortunate, but it seems like Montgomery picks winners and losers. And regardless of your faith or regardless of your financial resources, they still pick winners and losers. And that dark money has played a tremendous amount into this not only House District 37 race, but multiple races statewide this year. I mean, I can easily track one or account for one of my opponents probably spending excess of $300,000 against me. That's money that you would see only in statewide races, not in three county races. Uh, Certainly, does that make it difficult? Yes, by all means. We have to be very frugal with our money. We have to, and I got some small uh, subset of good partners. I've had a large amount of people that have stepped out and helped me in a grassroots effort. I still believe in handshaking and knocking doors. I've been knocking doors just till right up before this call today, and I'll knock doors up till election time because people need to understand who they're elected. You know, it's nice to make a big flashy TV commercial, put a bunch of flyers. Now those flyers cost a lot of money, and I can do the same. But I am doing some because people got to know who I am. But my opponent has spent excessive amount of monies, and I got another one in the mail today. Already not attacked ones. He hadn't attacked me, but it's just the sheer volume of the flood that you get washed away by a lot of this stuff. And uh, people are, I think the people of Alabama are just absolutely great and they can see through this stuff. And that's what I'm counting on, that they see through who is really conservative. I've been shown as being by a couple of polls and groups have placed me as more conservative as others in the race. So, but yet they can easily get in there and say, well, I'm the conservative choice. Well, are you really? So do your homework. If I was telling anyone, do your homework, make sure who you're voting for, what their values are, and what they stand for. And
Absolutely,
I think you're going to
absolutely.
find me. I think you're going to find me as a formidable candidate to
Yeah.
anyone.
Well, Jeff, I think that's the thing. You made the point. Well, I think we had a lot of our incumbents that we pointed this stuff out about this dark money. They wanted the Montgomery control and the session control, not the people of Alabama. The people of Alabama turned them out. So we're pretty much we're almost batting 1,000 on all those things because it's just educating the voters to know that this is people that want to run the state, not the people of Alabama. And the thing that's good about your campaign is you are representing the people of your county, but also
Absolutely.
the people of the and looking for the best interest of the people of the state of Alabama. And that's very, very comforting for us here at Christian
Well,
Coalition. So
that's all I've done for my whole life.
yeah,
I spent my life looking out for you. You handed me your life when you was in the back of the ambulance or on the roadside or when your house is on fire. I believe you can trust me to go to Montgomery and hand me your livelihood. And past practice is an indicator of future performance. It's what my daddy used to teach me. So look at what I've done in past. I've been one of the good guys. I want to continue to be one of the good guys. I want to represent all these people.
absolutely. Jeff, tell our viewers where we can find out more information from you on your website and or how they can get in touch with you as they want more information.
Well, first off, my personal cell phone number that I've had for 29 years in my pocket is 256-872-1113. And I'll have that till the day I die. And if you want to call me, pick the phone up and call me because I've got to be open and transparent. I got to be accessible. I can't be everywhere in this 75-mile district. Pick up the phone and call me. About my campaign, there's a lot of information. We all have a Facebook page. Mine is linked to www.monroe for State House, MONROE for statehouse.com. And you can find me there. And there's links back and forth with that. Facebook's a good place. Come out there and look. I mean, my social media person is helping me. She is a friend of the family and she knows my heart. So it really helps when you got somebody that can help you that way. And her background just happened to be in digital media. So best of all worlds that way for me. And she's helping me post things that I didn't even, I look at that stuff and I'll go, is that really me on there? And she makes me look so good. So, but Facebook, if you go out there and search on Facebook for Jeff Monroe, you're going to find a guy looks like me wearing a firefighter coat. There's a link from that one as well. it takes you to my campaign webpage.
Well, Jeff, this is so terrific. Thank you so much for taking time. I know it's a busy schedule. We got a very compressed time between the primary and the runoff, and so we're so appreciative of you taking time to visit with us. And I want to tell everyone here that's listening to this broadcast, remember, June 16th is where the runoff is going to be in this
Right.
election. It's very important that you turn out. We usually have not a good turnout on these runoffs. It's very important for us to this is a very important election. Make sure if you're in Chambers County or in District 37, make sure that you turn out and vote for in this election and elect the leader that most represents our values and what we want to see represented in Montgomery. So, Jeff, thank you again. Thank you so much for your time, and so good to visit with you, and so good to get to know you.
Thank you. Thank you for it, having me on your show.
All right, appreciate it.